My own sister made sure everyone at her wedding knew I was the pathetic single one. She seated me at the reject table. She introduced me to her husband's wealthy family as the one who still hasn't found anyone. She even let her bridesmaids whisper about my sad love life, loud enough for me to hear. And when she threw the bouquet, she looked me dead in the eyes and deliberately threw it the other direction. The crowd laughed, and I stood there, 32 years old, feeling like the biggest joke in the room. But then, a stranger in a perfectly fitted charcoal suit leaned over and whispered 4 words that changed everything. Act like you're with me. What happened next didn't just save my night. It turned her perfect day into my perfect revenge. And 1 year later, in the same hotel where it all began, that stranger got down on one knee. This is that story. My name is Hannah, and before I tell you about the best night of my life, I need to tell you about the worst. Lydia and I were never close. But in the year leading up to her wedding, the competition between us had reached a toxic level. Ever since she got engaged to Richard, a successful investment banker from a wealthy family, she made it her personal mission to remind me, constantly, that I was 32 and still single. Maybe you should try dating apps again, she'd say at family dinners, her voice dripping with fake concern. You can't be picky forever, Hannah. Time is running out. Our mother Diana would nod sympathetically. Our father Adam would awkwardly change the subject. But Lydia never let up. It was as if my loneliness confirmed something for her. As if my empty seat at the dinner table made her own chair feel more secure. The morning of her wedding, she called me. What she called sisterly advice. Hannah, sweetheart, I know today might be hard for you, she said, her voice thick with condescension. All the happy couples, all that love in the air. Just try not to look too miserable in the photos. I should have known then exactly what kind of night it would be. I arrived at Ganview Manor in a stunning dark blue dress I had spent weeks choosing. Lydia's bridesmaid Marion met me at the door, clipboard in hand, that particular smile people wear when they're about to deliver bad news cheerfully. Oh, Hannah, let me show you to your table. Table 12. The singles table, tucked in the back corner of the ballroom, right next to the kitchen doors, where the catering staff constantly pushed through with trays and carts. My table mates? Lydia's unmarried co-workers who barely acknowledged me, and great Aunt Janet, who spent the entire evening complaining about the music volume and suggesting I lower my standards. But the real humiliation came during the family introductions. Lydia paraded me in front of Richard's relatives like a cautionary tale. And this is my sister Hannah, Lydia announced brightly. Our little career woman, still very focused on work rather than finding someone special. The group smiled politely. I felt heat rising to my face. Oh, don't worry, dear, said Mrs. Wellington, patting my arm. There's someone for everyone. Lydia laughed. Hannah is very independent, aren't you? The way she said independent, like it was a diagnosis. Then came the bouquet toss. All the single ladies onto the dance floor. The DJ called. I tried to hide. Marion physically pulled me in. Lydia held the bouquet ready to throw. She looked directly at me, smiled, and deliberately threw it the other direction. A girl named Chloe caught it. The crowd erupted, and then Lydia announced loudly, Looks like Hannah's going to have to wait a little longer. The laughter that followed felt like glass dragged across my skin. I walked back to my table, fighting tears. I reached for my bag. I was done. And then, a deep, calm voice behind me said, Act like you're with me. I turned around. Standing there was a man in a perfectly fitted charcoal suit, tall, dark hair. The kind of composed presence that makes a room notice without him trying. His eyes were kind, but decided. Your sister, he said quietly, sliding into the seat beside me, just spent 10 minutes telling my business partner how worried she is that you're alone. Across the ballroom, I could see Lydia pointing in my direction. You don't mind, do you? He asked. I shook my head. I'm William, he said, extending his hand with a warm smile. Richard's cousin from Boston. Despite everything, I laughed. Yes, that's me. The family charity case. Not anymore, he said. William played his role perfectly. He brought me drinks, laughed at my jokes, touched my hand just often enough to look convincing. But more than that, he actually listened. He asked about my marketing career, my love of hiking, my trip to Ireland last spring. You're not what I expected, he said. What did you expect? Based on your sister's description, someone desperate and pitiable, he said directly. Instead, I'm sitting here with someone intelligent, funny, and honestly, I cannot understand why you're single. Because I have standards, I replied without thinking. He laughed, a real laugh. And for the first time that night, I felt something inside me loosen. Across the room, Lydia was staring openly at our table. The revenge had already begun. Then the band switched to a slow song. William stood and extended his hand. "Dance with me." It wasn't a question. On the dance floor, his hand rested gently on my waist, while mine rested on his shoulder. I could feel every eye in the room watching us, but instead of feeling exposed, I felt protected. "Your sister's watching," William murmured. "I know," I said. "She looks like she's about to combust." Then Lydia appeared beside us with Richard. "Mind if I cut in?" she asked tightly. "Actually, yes," William replied pleasantly. "We're in the middle of something." Lydia froze. "I just wanted to say how happy I am that Hannah has finally found someone," she said. "We've all been so worried about her." "Have you?" William asked quietly. "Because from what I've observed tonight, you seemed far more interested in humiliating her than supporting her." The directness shattered her confidence instantly. Richard looked uncomfortable. For the first time all evening, Lydia looked small. Then came the garter toss. William stepped forward confidently. "William?" Lydia called frantically. "You're not even single." William glanced at me, then smiled. "Actually, I am. Hannah and I are taking things slow." The garter landed directly in his hands. The crowd exploded with cheers. And when the DJ asked for a volunteer, William looked straight at me. I nodded. As I sat in the chair and William knelt before me, the entire room watched in stunned silence. Lydia stood frozen. The sister she had tried to humiliate had suddenly become the center of admiration. And for the first time that night, I wasn't ashamed anymore. As the wedding ended, William walked me to my car. The parking lot was quiet. No guests, no whispers, no judgment. Just us. "Thank you," I said softly. "You saved me tonight." He looked at me seriously. "What makes you think any of this was pretend?" My heart stopped. "Because you barely know me." "I know enough," he said, stepping closer. "I know you're kind, strong, beautiful, and I know your sister's a fool for not realizing how lucky she is to have you." Tears filled my eyes, but not from shame this time. "This started as a rescue mission," he admitted quietly, "but somewhere between the first dance and now, it stopped being fake for me." Then he handed me a business card. On the back was his personal number. "If you want to see me again," he said, "call me." 3 months later, William and I were officially together. 6 months after that, we moved in together. And exactly 1 year after Lydia's wedding, in the same hotel where we first met, William got down on one knee and proposed. But the real revenge wasn't proving Lydia wrong. The real revenge was realizing I no longer needed her approval, because I finally found someone who saw my value from the very beginning. Lydia wanted me to feel small and unlovable. Instead, she accidentally led me straight to the love of my life.